trained mentally and physically throughout. So it's like, I think what helped me was knowing how rigorous it was, but then going through it again, I was able to mentally prepare myself and then know that no matter how difficult it is, I'm excited to do what I want to do for a living. So.
Yeah, and is that something you've always wanted to do, professional wrestling?
Yeah.
Have you always wanted to be a wrestler?
Absolutely. Because, I mean, growing up, I was really into sports and stuff like that. But there was always something missing with when I was at, like, practice and everything. I didn't necessarily want to be there. And I'm like, if I don't want to be there, then, like, clearly this isn't what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
But, like, even as tough as wrestling got, it was like, no, I want to be here because I want to get better. And this is clearly, like, no matter how much it sucks from time to time, I still am happy to be here. And I love being here because being an entertainer is what I've always envisioned myself being.
Yeah.
Because I grew up wanting to sing. I grew up wanting to be in front of crowds, making them hate me, making them love me, making them smile, no matter what it was. So it was like growing up a professional wrestling fan, it was like physical and entertaining. Like what's better than that?
It's a mix of everything, isn't it?
Yeah. With you saying as well, obviously, like the entertainment side of it. So watching wrestling, I mean, who was you drawn to then as a young fan? Who made you want to get into this business?
I loved Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Eddie Guerrero.
Good choices.
They were just, man, they just stuck out because Eddie was just. I mean, I know a lot of people say that, but like when he was heel, I mean, he turned on that like mug, especially like in WCW and people. I don't know if people saw a lot of that. He just grab the title and throw it behind him and just like mean mug you all the way around. But then when you're supposed to love him, I mean, he was so infectious of a character. You just couldn't help but love him. I mean, he was just so entertaining.
He had that famous it that people talk about. He had it.
Yeah, and it was just so good. And then obviously his in-ring work was second to none. And then even the same thing with Macho Man. I love the raspiness with how he talked and my last name was actually pretty close to what Macho Man, because my last name is Masco, and all you gotta do is take off the S, and like I got called Macho all the time.
You could just be the Masco, man. You know,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But it was just the promos that he would cut; they were just great. And then the Slim Jim commercials were just hilarious.
Oh, they were so good.
Yeah. So I mean.
I'm totally with you, dude. I'm the same. I mean, I'm 36. I mean, I grew up watching Randy Savage. They were the guys I grew up on, Savage, Hogan. But it's nice to hear you say Eddie Guerrero as well, because we actually spoke to Shaw about a week or two ago. Obviously, she's getting back into the business as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Guerrero, you can't go wrong with having someone like that to be an influence on you.
No, not at all. I mean, he's so great. It was just every little thing. Like going back and watching stuff is like that's usually who I gravitate towards. And I mean, probably more so now too because of my build. I would say for this generation would be Daniel Bryan, because I'm built within like the same sort of stature as him.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of my characteristics, maybe not as much of like the technical aspect of how I wrestle compared to him, but like that grittiness and just like I'm never going to stop attitude is very similar to him. So.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan, when he was on the Independents, when he was doing that run in Ring of Honor where he had the bald head and he was just knocking people unconscious with elbows, and it was so good. And he very rarely did promos, but his facial expressions and everything he did in the ring looked so vicious that he didn't need to speak. It just came through in his body language. And I think, again, like he's a guy who doesn't get enough credit for doing the little things so well. Everyone knows he's a good technical wrestler, but he's also really good at selling and projecting himself and being a really good babyface in peril, or a really good heel as well. And he can work as a vicious heel, or he can work as an underdog babyface. And when you can do both, it just shows how good of a talent you really are. So, yeah, definitely an amazing talent to watch if you're a wrestler, I imagine.
Well, and especially when he came back, like after however many years he was gone, and like he's a babyface, and he turned heel like a couple months or so, not that much longer after he had come back, and he got the crowd to hate him. Like, it was
How?
great what he was able to do, even though like everyone just loved him and adored him. Yet he was like the perfect guy for that Kofi Kingston angle. Like, it was just
It
just
wouldn't have
worked
worked with
so
anybody
well.
else, I don't think.
No,
It had to
I
be Daniel Bryan.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
again,
don't
it's
see
like
it either.
it's like we said with Eddie. You know, it could make a crowd love him and make a crowd hate him at the click of a finger. And Daniel Bryan's the same. He's
Yeah.
just phenomenal. Like Callum said, someone that doesn't get the credit for the little things. Just going back to Black and Brave as well. I know you mentioned like learning the psychology from Seth and Marek. Is that something that Seth really instills in you, the psychology? Obviously, coming from the WWE machine that is it now, is that something that he's very big on?
Yeah, that's like, I mean, like, he cares about like how like you learn like the moves and stuff, but like what he really hones in and cares about most is the psychology of everything. Like, that's, he still geeks out like a kid at Christmas when he sees that happening, and like especially if the kids are picking up on everything like properly and whatnot. He loves it. It's the
That's so
best
cool.
because, I mean, like, you got to know when, how, and why you're doing everything, because like
Yeah,
throughout the match there's a reason for everything, and like you shouldn't just go out there and do something just because you can do it. Like, sure, I can go out there and do like a 450, but like, why am I doing it? Like,
Yeah.
what's the reason for it? Or like, even just throwing a punch, like, why would I throw that punch there? Like, there's got to be a reason for it. So
Yeah, I think that's one thing which, back when I was younger, I used to love looking at the moves of wrestling. Like, I'd love the flips and the fast-paced action. But as I got older, I realized like the moments in wrestling mean more to me. The psychology, the storytelling, that's what sticks in my mind. Like, I can watch a great match with flips and stuff, but I don't remember any of them a week later. But I always remember how the moments made me feel. And I think if you can teach that, that's what really makes a superstar. That's what gets your attention of the bigger companies. And in the end, it will make you a lot of money. You know, it's learning the psychology is paramount, really, to being a successful wrestler, I think.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, like, I'm still like, because I have a very old school mindset too when it comes to that sort of stuff. Like, I'm all for, doing the craziest of things if it's going to get you out there, but like, make it matter. Make it like the reason for you having to do that really matter, because then it can just mean that much more, and it can like really help hone in on like how good of a professional wrestler you become when you
Yeah,
really figure out
absolutely.
how to use it and why to use it.
Yeah, because you have to imagine it as a real fight still. Like, if you were to do a 450 and a shooting star press in one match and a Canadian destroyer, you've got to think if it's a real fight, you should have finished them with one of those. And if you didn't finish them with them, then you're probably not doing it right. So you've got to think of it like a real fight. And I think that's what a few people don't do. And fair enough, fair play to them. I can't do any of this, by the way. So I'm just a fan with a microphone telling people how to do things. But I still respect them because they're incredible athletes. But I like it when it makes sense. And when it does, that's when you get the magic. Like Eddie Guerrero, for example, we're going back to Eddie. Everything he did made sense. He never had any wasted motion. And all of his matches still stick out to me in my head. And I'm guessing that's the kind of wrestler you want to be down the line, where like Seth does it for me. Seth Rollins is incredible. He has so many good matches and good moments. Is that what your goal is too? Do you want to have those great matches, but also the great moments?
I mean, absolutely. Like, my goal from the beginning has been to be the greatest of all time. And like, sure, it's like a high above achieving goal, but like, that's truly when I set out to like do something, I want to be the best at it. And it's like learning who I think from personally is the best right now.
Yeah.
Seth is like just awesome. I just never would even imagine that. But yeah, like, I want to have those great moments while also having like the top tier matches, which I think I'm capable of in the future if I just keep molding myself more and more. But it's those moments you just, because you don't necessarily always remember the matches, but you remember those moments, which are just huge in the professional wrestling industry. Like when Hulk Hogan turned, like that's everyone's always going to remember that. Like, it's just always going to remember. And there was nothing to do with the wrestling aspect. It was him turning after the match was over. And like, some people might not even remember who was all in that match.
Yeah,
They just remember Hulk Hogan turning.
Wrestling's just the in-ring stuff's just the medium for telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
It not taking anything away from it. I love the wrestling. It's still one of my favorite parts of it, but wrestling is so much more than just moves. It's how it makes you feel. It's how you react to things. It's working the crowd and getting them to react to things. And I think that's just the magic of professional wrestling, and it's why we love it so much, because I think if wrestling was real, I don't think I'd be interested. Like, I'm not interested in Olympic wrestling or anything because it's real.
Yeah.
I like it because it's not, and because it's not, you can do so much more with it. It's like telling a story or watching a film, and I think that's just why, like, I love it. I fell in love with it, and I'm sure it's why we all do too.
Yeah, for sure. And it's even like when Seth turned heel on the Shield for the first time, like there was no match. It was literally just a moment of him. You just didn't see that coming, and it's so hard to even imagine any of that happening nowadays because everything's like leaked, and you can't like wait and be patient for anything to actually happen or like happen out of nowhere. And I think people, really crap on Jinder Mahal winning the title, and like, sure, it wasn't like, maybe it wasn't the greatest of runs, but like, it was out of nowhere, which is kind of refreshing sometimes.
I just want to say this now because Jamie already knows where I'm going with this. I am the biggest Jinder Mahal mark in the world, and I don't mean that's not ironic or anything. I love the guy. I thought it was a great title reign, and it was because you didn't see it coming. One week he was jobbing on superstars, the next week he was facing Randy Orton for the title, and I was like, whatever. At least at this point, I'm shocked. I didn't see this coming.
Yeah,
and,
no, it was crazy.
You don't get that nowadays, like you said, because of the internet and social media. Everything's spoiled. So whenever you do get a surprising moment, it means so much more.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was actually Seth in an interview not that long ago actually said that, fans nowadays don't have the patience for long-term storytelling.
Done.
And he's absolutely spot on. And that's something I miss. I want a long storyline. I want them emotions, every week I want to feel this. And I read an interview with Seth saying the same thing. Is that something you agree with then, Travis?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we talk about it quite frequently, like just how impatient. Because I mean, if you even look at Instagram videos that you post, or like even like things on Twitter, like they can only be like 30 seconds to a minute, and you lose the attention of someone. Or even if like you write out a post and you put it on like Instagram or something, if it's too long, you're like, I'm not reading it anymore. So it's like with how quick things are, and like the TikTok or whatever it is, like the dancing thing. It's like, I don't know how long those are, but I'm sure they're not long. And it's like everyone loses interest if it's not, bam, right there and like ready to go.
It's instant gratification, isn't it? I think that kind of transcends into some styles of wrestling match nowadays where you can't work a headlock for 5 minutes because people tune out. So you need to constantly be doing something fast-paced, flippy to be able to keep their attention. And I think it's like you said, where things like they're only 30 seconds long. You've got to be giving them something every 30 seconds to keep people's attention now. So it's not necessarily the wrestler's fault. It's just how the style of wrestling is evolving to keep people's attention.
Yeah. Well, it's even like the gifts that get shared and everything too. Like everyone, for the most part, like on a lot of like the independent scene, it's like you're working for the gifts, and like that's not wrong, but it's like it's how it's kind of being portrayed now. Like if someone goes and does, like we were talking earlier, like a cool like 450, they'll get praised for being like a really good wrestler when they might not necessarily be, because you don't know if like they made that happen for the right reason. You know what I mean? But like that's still, you can't crap on it because they could very well be great, and you just don't know. But it's like sometimes that can be frustrating, because if you're a guy that can't necessarily do that, how do you stand out? Which, I mean, it's up to you at that point to figure out, okay, well, how can I go about standing out? And that's how you see guys like Danhausen and Warhorse with their characters and stuff like that. You got to find a way, even if you can't do it, by like getting like a good proper gift. So,
well, speaking of standing out, we actually saw you wrestle for Warrior, and after we were watching the shows, you were one of the people that we said we should reach out to. So you definitely stood out in that sense. and we'd actually been gifting that show.
Okay.
We do a bit of work with Fight TV.
Don't we? No, we. This is you.
Right. First of all, you're part of Ringsiders, so you're just as in this as I am. So we were gifted Warrior, and you're right. As soon as it was like a flip or something, even though I'm saying, a counterpoint to it of it's only the flips that matter and it shouldn't be. When the flips happen on the show, I was gifting them and putting them straight up because I knew that's what would get the likes. Yep. Unfortunately, that is the case.
Yep.
And as much as I hate it, it's true. But going back to Warrior, they had an incredible month with Stadium Series. We actually got the chance to speak to Steve a couple of times about Stadium Series, and it's just such a cool concept. I mean, 3 shows over a month in the middle of a illuminated football stadium. It looked amazing. What was your experience like wrestling for Warrior Wrestling?
Oh, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and Steve was great. He was so catering and very friendly and helpful with everything. And because I had reached out to him a lot, like, hey man, if you need anything, like, I'm not that far away, and like I'm more than willing to travel there and do whatever I got to do, to get an opportunity. And thankfully, he was able to have me work with Isaiah Velasquez, who was great to work with, and I had a blast. It was a lot of fun, and getting out there on a little bit of a bigger stage, even though honestly I'm terrified going on with this whole COVID thing because I am a germaphobe to begin with. So dealing with all that's a mess, but I know if I gotta be to where I want to be, I have to make a sacrifice. And it was well worth it because it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and I couldn't have asked for anything better.
At least they're doing whatever they can to make sure it's a safe environment for the talent and the fans, with the masks, social distance, it's outside. Just looking at it on TV, it looked like it was a really safe environment, and that's what you want to see. Because I'll be honest, I've been watching The Collective this weekend, and it's 12 shows over 3 days, all in the same venue, and amazing wrestling, great shows. But as a fan, I was thinking, I'm hoping they're really sticking to it, being careful, because you can't keep your eyes on everybody, you can't see where they're all going or who they're meeting up with. I just hope that, everyone's still safe there, because the wrestling was amazing, not taken away from that, but still made me a bit anxious to think how many people were there over 3 days.
Yeah, no, I wish I would have been a part of it, but at the same time, it's what you're saying, it's kind of scary to think. I hope the majority of the people that are there go and get tested afterwards, and make sure everything's cleared up. But yeah, it seems there was some good distancing because of the building that they were set up in. But I mean, I agree with you because it's 12-hour days for 3 straight days, and you just don't know, because at that point someone could be tired and be reckless and just not really think about everything. So
it only takes one person to mess up, but fingers crossed, that's everything will be all right there. But speaking of The Collective, there was Black Label Pro there, and Black Label is a company you've done some work with in the past, I believe.
Yeah, I made my debut last weekend, or was it last weekend or the weekend before? And
with
I got
EC3?
I got to wrestle EC3.
That must have been cool.
It was. I mean, I did not know that was happening. It was originally supposed to be scheduled for a scramble match. And I was like, sweet, just any opportunity I can get. And then he goes, hey, I need a promo shot. So you got a big match coming your way. I'm like, okay. Wait a couple days. And he sends me a graphic of me and Alex Shelley. And I was like, oh, sweet. Because I actually worked with Shelley earlier this year. So I was like, awesome, I get another opportunity to wrestle with Shelley. And then probably 12 hours later, 3 people had to cancel. And I was like, there's no way this is happening. So day goes by and he goes, hey, I'm just being transparent with you. Not going to get Shelley anymore, but I have something awesome coming your way. So 3 days goes by and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? And then I get a message that says, see, I told you I would take care of you. And I was wrestling EC3. I was like, wow.
That's awesome.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, you might not get to work with Alex Shelley, who, in my opinion, is the greatest talent on the indies right now. But EC3, that's pretty damn good still. I mean, I'm sure you can learn a lot from someone like EC3 when it comes to, presenting your character in the ring. He might not be known as a ring technician, but everybody knows EC3 and everybody knows his character. Was there anything you picked up in that match with him?
It's just owning the moment for what you have, because like we didn't go very long, but like knowing when, how, and why you're doing everything, like I was talking about earlier in the podcast, it was just like knowing which moment you got to bring it, and like because he's gonna bring it. He's been doing this for however many years, and he's been a world champion, and I mean he was super happy with it because I brought it at the proper moments for when I needed to, and learning that and knowing that now I can have more confidence being like, like I can go with some of these guys. So it was cool that he was like very appreciative and happy with how things went between us.
So will you be hoping to do some more work with Black Label then? Because they're a very hot independent promotion right now. Them and Freelance, to me, are two of the best companies in North America. Are you hoping to do a bit more work with Black Label down the line?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've been in talks with them because, I mean, Shelley's the reason like I got like the opportunity to, like, he's been very instrumental in helping me and being like I think Ben said it best too, because he's helped him as well, like kind of like an uncle of sorts for us. And he helped me get this opportunity, and I've been in talks with them. I think I have a shot of being on the next show in November. So, I mean, like, yeah, I absolutely would love to move forward with them as much as I can. Because I'm also working with AAW as well, because they just started some stuff. So trying to work with both of them as much as I can, because I know with winter coming up, who knows how many shows are going to be going on.
Sure. And Warrior, I believe, said they were coming back in March, April time. So there's a bit of downtime with them. I'm sure you'll be back with them. Would be good. But AAW, like you said, they're another company which are really tearing up right now. There's so many good independents. Like back when I was younger, it used to only really be you'd have WWE, you'd have TNA, Ring of Honor, and PWG, and that's the companies that people really followed. I'd also check out like IWA Mid South, which was really hard to find, but I did follow it. And Chikara, but nowadays you've got like Black Label, Freelance, AEW, Warrior, and that's just in one part of North America. So many companies. Like, what a great time to be an independent wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. It's because like you got Freelance, AAW, and Black Label, who are all literally like right next to each other.
Yeah.
And then like when Warriors around too, they're right next to each other. So you got 4. And that doesn't even include like the countries you have. I mean, the companies you have out west and like in the Northeast with like Beyond and whatnot. So it's like, man, there's so many opportunities, and it's great. It really is.
And obviously, speaking, I know Callum mentioned obviously you're going one-on-one with EC3. You and I were talking in the DMs a while back, and we've got to mention obviously Ben Carter, someone you've have a close relationship with. What's your thoughts on Ben at the minute? He seems to be a very big rising star.
Yeah, man. It like, so like our story comes back to his training too, is people always, because like I had shorter hair at the time too, and then he had shorter hair, and people just always say, man, you guys just look like brothers. You really do. Like, it's like the Parent Trap, essentially, where you guys are just, there's American, and then like it's so we always got compared back and forth. And there was actually a funny story is he chipped his tooth, like his front tooth. And then not even a week later, I chipped my front tooth lifting weights. So we had the same chipped tooth and everything. Just like, wow, you guys are just becoming identical. But and then probably a year after his training, we had a match, and he was super excited for it because he just wanted to see if he could like really go. And I had been going super well for this company called SCW Pro, and we had a really good match. It went really well, and I think he had a lot of confidence after that because he was just wrestling sporadically, and he went back to university after that. But then once he was done, he really just got on a tear because he had a lot more confidence and was able to really believe in himself because he knew how much potential he had. And you could just see it by how hard he worked. And like I saw all the time when he would just be getting in the ring and training. And it's not just because he can do moves. I mean, he was working and busting his butt all the time to get to where he wanted to be. And he's a guy that can do a lot of things, but he also knows how and why, which I think is why he grew up with as much as he did, because he just knew when and where to place things and how well to do it. So I can't commend him enough, man.
I think I saw that match. I think that is that the match that you sent me the link to, I believe.
I think I sent you the second one.
Yeah.
So we have two. I had the first one where I'm wearing blue tights and he has like red tights. I think I sent you the one where I was wearing the green ones.
Yeah, you're in green in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, and that
great
was.
Match. I think to Cal, I'm going to forward it to Cal and Fins have a watch.
Please do.
Thank you.
I'd actually go as far as to say Ben is probably my current favorite like high flyer right now because of the reason you said, and that's because he knows how to use things. He knows all of his like agility looks realistic. Everything he does looks real, and he reminds me a lot of Pac in the way he moves. And I'd actually go as far as to say he's better than another British high flyer, Will Ospreay. I think he's already a better worker than Will Ospreay. And I think he's on the same level, if not getting to the same level as like a Pac, just because he knows how to make his speed and high flying moves mean something. And I think if you can do that, the world's your oyster basically in wrestling. And I think that says a lot because he's actually having matches with like AEW on Dark and Dynamite. So who knows what's coming for him soon. But speaking of what's coming soon, what's your goal for like the immediate future? I know you said with winter coming up, you're not sure what's going to happen, but you must have your eyes set on a company in particular, or would you be looking to get that AEW Dark match as well?
Oh, I mean, I would take any opportunity that I can. That would be awesome if I could get out there and go to AEW Dark. I mean, I would take that in a heartbeat. Even though like our trainers technically, it's Seth and he's from WWE, I still any opportunity you can get, you absolutely take. And if I got presented with the opportunity of going to AEW, that'd be awesome. I would take it in a heartbeat.
From what I've heard, speaking to the other Black and Brave guys, it's the people at Black and Brave tell you to go and make your own opportunities anyway. Nothing's handed to you. You go out there, make your own name, and do what you can. So I'm sure even like Seth, even if he is with WWE, if you were to get matches with AEW Dark or AEW, he'd be just as happy for you as you wrestling anywhere else. You're doing your own thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've literally talked to him about that like a couple months ago, with like possibilities of like if I were to go to Impact or like to AEW or anything like that. And he's like, no, dude. I mean, you take any opportunity you can. Yeah. Like you never say no, because like you got to get out there and do whatever you can to make yourself better. So obviously going to Impact or AEW is going to be great. So you can't turn down anything.
Because the same thing kind of happened with Seth back in the day anyway. When he was Tyler Black, he had contracts on the table, with like Impact. Yeah, they wanted to sign him at one point. TNA wanted Seth Rollins.
But he was literally like right there. He was about to sign it.
Yeah.
And then he called and was like, hey, I'm about to sign this. Do you guys want me?
Yeah.
And then that ended up happening.
Can you imagine how different history would be if, no Shield, nothing like that. So, but yeah, what a crazy ride it's been for Seth. But I'm sure just by speaking to you, you seem like you're a very switched on wrestler. You understand what you need to do to be successful in wrestling. And I think that's really refreshing to see. So we're looking forward definitely to seeing where it takes you. But do you have anything coming up that you'd want to plug as well? Like I know you said you shows a few and far between right now, but do you have anything coming up that you'd like to promote?
Well, so on the 29th of October for AEW, I am going to be wrestling Fred Yehai. So they haven't announced it officially yet, but I know it's going to be happening on October 29th. So I'm really excited about that because I actually did wrestle him a couple years ago, but like we're both on completely different levels now, and I know he's doing stuff with Ring of Honor. So super excited about that. And then potentially going to be wrestling for Black Label on November 21st for Slamilton. So either way, I'd still like to promote them because, I mean, I can't thank them enough for giving me the opportunity that they did with EC3. So,
yeah.
Well, I know there's, before we wrap things up, there is one thing I have to ask you, because I did notice another guy that you've been in the ring with. It's a guy that we've had on before. Well, basically, he's outlandish, right? I mean, what was it? We interviewed Dickie a few months ago, and we weren't sure if we were getting an in character or not in character interview. He just kept flitting between. What was it like with Dickie?
Oh man, Zicky's great. He really is one of a kind. Where he's hilarious, but I mean, like, he takes everything so seriously, even though he is literally outlandish. You know, like he's constantly innovating himself to be out there as much as he can, and he doesn't care what it takes, how he's portrayed. Like, he's gonna do whatever it is, and it's hilarious, and I love it. I think he's one of a kind, and I just saw that he tagged with Effie, and I'm like, oh my god, like,
what a team!
I love it. Like, that's so good. I could get behind that. Like, yeah, like, I mean, Zicky's great. I mean, I had an awesome time. I think he was the last person I wrestled potentially before the pandemic started, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But no, I mean, I had a fun time. He tries to just think differently when you go in there. It's not necessarily like, all right, we're going to do this and then that for like moves and stuff. We're going to think of like what certain moment we can create that's going to stand out from the rest of the cards. So he's doing good things for himself, and I wish him nothing but the best, because I know he's constantly hustling with everything that he's doing. So
I remember when we spoke to him, I think the first thing he did, Callum, was he insulted us, I think, didn't he?
And then when he left, he said that was the worst wrestling podcast I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But obviously, when the pandemic's over and life gets back to some kind of normalcy, could we see you over here in the UK?
I mean, I would love to, because I've never actually been outside the country. And like, I'm from Michigan, and I lived, so like Michigan looks like that essentially. And Canada's like right there on like the under part of like the hand. I've never even been to Canada. So no, I would absolutely love to get out as much as I can. And if that opportunity presented itself, I'd go there in a heartbeat, because I've always wanted to go overseas. So for sure.
Dude, we'd love to have you here. We've got a great wrestling scene here. I'm sure you'd fit right in.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. I'd definitely 100% say yes to that.
Excellent. I mean, before we go as well, obviously, we'd love to have you back at some point in the future as well. We always like to bring people back because we want to carry on. We don't want to. I'm going to go 18 rating here. We don't want to blow our load in one interview. So, but we'd love to have you back in the future if that's something you'd be okay with doing, Travis.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, I mean, if whatever you guys want to ask, or like you want to get into like good details and stuff, I'm more than game to. Like,
perfect.
I'm an open book, so it's cool.
Hell yeah, we'll definitely do that. Any merchandise you want to plug as well, or social media?
I mean, social media. I always forget the Instagram and Twitter. If it's the Real Travis Titan and then the Travis Titan, it's one of the two. It's both of those. It's either Instagram, I think, is the Real Travis Titan, and I think Twitter's the Travis Titan.
Right.
I don't really do a whole lot of merch. I do have a shirt that's Fear the Arrow, but I don't really have a lot of merch. Personally, I don't really care about the money as much. It's more about just wrestling, because I just love it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Real Travis Titan on Instagram, and then the Travis Titan on Twitter. I'm pretty sure, but
we'll find out.
Yeah.
No, Travis, thank you so much, man. We will continue to follow you because you are outstanding. He is Travis Titan. We are Ringsiders. We'll see you again.
Thank you, guys.